So today we are back at part 1 of the speaking test, and we will be looking at the school-related subjects. In particular, today I'll be tackling the numbers topic. Now, as always, I will give you multiple ways in which to answer these questions so that you can find something which is relatable to you and that you might find useful. Now, it is important to note before we begin that you shouldn't just be focusing on the vocabulary and the language in my answers. You should also be paying careful attention to the delivery and the structure of these answers. And it is worth practicing these questions in as many different ways as possible at home, because that will give you the versatility you need to succeed in this exam. So the first question will be something like, are you good at remembering numbers? And a suitable response could go something like this. I'm absolutely dreadful at remembering any kind of numbers. This is particularly true when it comes to dates and important anniversaries. I'm always forgetting things like that, and I end up in quite a bit of bother because of it. Well, generally, I'm pretty good at remembering lots of different numbers and figures. However, when I get into an exam like maths or history, my mind just goes blank and I just can't recall any of them. Well, I'm actually pretty terrible at remembering all kinds of numbers. I'm always having to jot things down or make little notes in case I forget something important, like somebody's phone number or an important date that is coming up. So I really struggle to keep in mind all the numbers that I need to. Well, I don't want to brag, but I've actually got an incredible memory. I can, recall most numbers. In fact, I know each and every one of my family members and close friends' phone numbers off by heart. It's a bit of a party trick, actually. People are always amazed when I can instantly recall their phone number. It's a bit weird as well. Another question would be, do you often use numbers? Well, of course, numbers are impossible to escape from these days. Whether it's doing some simple addition in the shops or trying to find somebody's address, you're always going to be using numbers in some way or another. Well, despite my best intentions to stay as far away from numbers as possible, unfortunately I'm still in school, so maths classes are a part of my daily life, which, is pretty awful, to be honest with you. I hate numbers. Well, as a maths major, numbers are pretty much my bread and butter, and I also find that, they're a great way to keep your brain sharp. I always do, a Sudoku puzzle in my spare time in order to, just stay on top of things. Then they will go on to ask you, is there any special number that you like? Well, in Vietnamese culture, 8 is a pretty special number. So I often, subconsciously find myself always choosing the number 8. For instance, if I'm in a hotel, I'll ask for a room number ending in 8. Or, when I find my exam candidate number, it has an 8 in it, I see that as a good omen. Well, I don't want to brag or anything, but I always like to be the best. So number 1 is my favourite number. And number 2 is not good enough. So whenever somebody says to me, what's your favourite number? Without a doubt, I'll always pick number 1. Well, I don't really have a particular number that I have a strong affinity for, but I do like even numbers. Something about odd numbers just makes me feel rather uncomfortable. I feel more secure if there's an even number. I know it's a bit weird, but I just can't help it. Well, I have a bit of OCD when it comes to numbers. I always need them to be in multiples of 10. So, for example, if I'm turning the volume up on my TV, it'll have to be 10, then 20, and then 30. Anything different would, make me feel quite uncomfortable. So the last question will be, are you good at maths? Well, that's a big fat no from me. I've always, been quite, into my schoolwork and tried to maintain good grades, but maths has always been my Achilles heel. It's always held me back in some way, so, I absolutely just detest maths. I wish it was taken off the curriculum. Well, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm actually excellent at maths. It doesn't matter whether it's equations or formulae. I'm always, able to handle the tasks perfectly. I guess that's why I chose maths as a major in school. So I wouldn't say that I'm particularly good at maths, nor am I, awful. I'm just pretty normal. I do the maths in class and, I managed to get sufficient grades in that subject. But beyond that, I don't really, pursue maths with any passion. It's just something to do for me. Well, I'm quite good at maths, but I'm not naturally talented. I've kind of been pushed in that direction by my parents and my teachers because maths is quite an important subject in Vietnam. So there's a lot of pressure to do well in it. But I've never, found myself, naturally performing maths to a good standard. So if you couldn't tell already, I made up all of those answers on the spot. There's an important lesson to be had there. You don't have to give your truthful response in these exams. They don't really care. It's a language test. So just make sure you're answering, as comfortably as possible. Whatever comes to you easiest is what you should begin talking about. Anyway, I hope you picked up something from this lesson, and I'll see you next time.